Did you guys know that this app, Einstein Homework Helper, they make $60,000 last month? What about this one, Potion, a very simple app that converts Notion pages into a website. This guy built it and sold it for 300K. Now, if that's not crazy enough, the app that actually blew my mind was this one, the Rock Identifier app. I didn't know such a thing actually exists. And according to this tweet, they make $700,000 a month. And this is not the only app that they're making. Now, you've probably never heard of these apps before, but as you can see, they're making tons of money. And these are not some huge startups that are backed by VC like Uber or Yelp, but these are started by just regular guys like you and I with just an idea. And these apps are not just trying to get users, but they're actually generating profits. So today I want to show you guys how you can make money with apps. And most importantly, how to find winning ideas. And number two, how to build these apps without hiring a developer. Yes, you can even do this if you don't know how to code. And number three, I'm going to show you guys how to make your first $1,000. And I'm going to show you a trick that some of these big apps are using to go viral. So let's dive in. Now, when you first hear this concept of building apps, right, most people will run away because it sounds complicated. I don't know how to code. I can never do that, right? That's exactly what I thought too. But today I want to show you a method that allows you to build all these apps without having to write a single line of code. But before we get there, I want to quickly tell you why I love this business model. So number one, it is recurring. It is a subscription model where people just pay you on a monthly basis until they cancel, just like Netflix. Number two, it's scalable, right? You get 10 users versus 100K users. It's still one single app. The app is doing all the heavy lifting. So for example, this app, Locket, is making 300K per month and they have less than 10 employees. And number three is sellable, right? You can sell the app one day for a huge payout. For example, this Potion app was making around 8K per month and the guy sold it for 300K. All right, so how do we find winning ideas? Where do we start? So whenever I start a new business, the first thing I do is always market research. What are the trends? What is getting traction? What are people getting into? And what I'm really looking for is one of two things. Either a gap in the market. This is where people need something that nobody's offering yet, or something that's already getting traction, but I know I can make way better. Now, here are the three sources that I go to that I want to share with you guys. Number one, there's this website that I always go to called Sensor Tower. So you can basically use this to estimate the number of downloads an app makes, and you can do a rough estimate of how much the app is making. So it's a really good database if you want to look at other high-performing apps that is already proven to work. And number two, I always recommend this one, GetLatka. It is a database of all the SaaS companies, including the revenue. You can see all the fastest growing apps right now. So you can take a look at this to see what markets to enter, what is the trend right now. Number three, I also like going to Start a Story. I think Pat Walsh here did a very good job on his content. He also has a YouTube channel where he brings in successful founders and they all tell their stories on how they get started and how they achieve success. Now, to help you guys get started, I've put together a list of 20 apps that were founded by just a single person or a very small team that is making at least $5,000 a month. So I think this is a good starting point for your research. You want to study all these case studies so you're not diving into this blind. Now, I spent hours studying all these apps, and there's actually one thing that you absolutely need to do to make yours successful. And that is to start with a single feature and make it ridiculously good. Because the last thing you want to do is to build a very complicated app, with a million features. I think that's the biggest mistake I see a lot of people make. So you want to focus on one feature, and that feature should solve a very specific high friction problem, and it has to feel complete from day one. And if it feels half-baked, users actually won't come back. So here's a perfect example for this. So there's this app called Photo Room. I'm not sure if a lot of you guys know this, but they only focused on one super specific feature when they first started, which is removing backgrounds from photos by using just one tab. And that's it. But they did that really, really well, right? And this app actually made $94 million in 2024, which is like $700,000 a month, right? And now they've started adding more stuff like, AI generated backgrounds, things like that, but only after they nail that first core feature. So focus on one feature and make it really, really good. Now, let's say you have a killer idea. Now, you need a plan to market your app, right? And you got to do this before you even build it. Because most people, they build a product and they fail to get customers, right? Because selling is actually harder than building. So you want to make sure that you have a marketing plan up front. Now, I've studied a lot of successful apps and how they do their marketing. For example, this Locket app here that's making 300K a month. So I want to share how they do their marketing, right? So they didn't spend any money on ads, but instead, they use TikTok videos to market their products, right? Very simple videos like these. And at the end, they always flip their phone and they show the app being used, right? So they got a bunch of influencers doing all these videos and also a bunch of burner accounts on TikTok. And some of these, you can see they're getting millions and millions of views, right? And that's how they're able to get 1 million downloads a month. Now, of course, hiring influencers, they can be expensive, especially if you're just starting out. So I want to show you a hack that you can use, which is to use AI to create all these videos. So you guys have probably seen TikTok videos like these. They're promoting a product usually, but it's very effective because it doesn't look like an ad, right? It looks like a very real, authentic review of a product. And people are making a lot of money selling physical products this way. And I think you can do the same with apps. And none of these people are actually real. They're all AI generated. Now, I believe one of the best tools right now to create these videos is Arcats, which is a sponsor of this video. I generally like this app because of the quality that it can produce. So I just want to take a few minutes to show you guys how you can create these videos that sound and look 100% human with Arcats. So once you log into the tool, you want to create an account and you'll arrive at the dashboard here. For today's example, I'm going to create a video promoting this rock identifier app that's making $700K a month, right? So I want to create a new project or Arcats, and then I want to click on add actors. Now you can see a database of all the actors that you can choose from. You can set a filter on the left side to narrow down your search. So for example, you can pick the gender or the situation here. So you can have the right setting depending on the product that you're promoting, right? So I'm going to choose female. And by the way, if you hover on the avatar, you can actually get a preview of what the AI will sound like. And obviously we can make it say whatever we want, which I'm going to show you in the next step. But let's say I like this one, Victoria. So I'll just pick her and click on add actor. Now, the next step is to upload a script. So I would use ChatGPT for this. And for this example, I have a script ready for the sake of time. So I'll just copy and paste it here. And before I preview this, if you click on settings, you can even adjust the speed of how the AI will sound and some other settings here. So this you can play around with. There's also this new feature where you can change the voice. You can even choose the accent as well. So that's interesting. So let me close this and let's preview the audio.
My 9-year-old daughter knows way more about many different types of rocks than I did at her age, and it's all thanks to this app we've been using. It's had over 1 million downloads and is the #1 rock identifier app for a good reason.
That sounds really good. So when you're ready, you can hit generate here. It will take some credits. That's why we always want to preview first before you actually use your credits. And just in a few minutes, here's what we got.
My 9-year-old daughter knows way more about many different types of rocks than I did at her age, and it's all thanks to this app we've been using.
That is really good, isn't it? But let's not stop here because we also want to show the app and her talking simultaneously, right? So I did some editing on this and here's what I came up with.
My 9-year-old daughter knows way more about many different types of rocks than I did at her age, and it's all thanks to this app we've been using. It's had over 1 million downloads and is the #1 rock identifier app for a good reason.
Now, if you were to hire an influencer, it would probably cost you hundreds or thousands of dollars. But with this tool, you can create 10, 20, 30 in a day. And I think what makes this tool so powerful is that you can also choose the situation here. Like here, you got bathroom. So you get actors that are in the bathroom. If you're doing some kind of Christmas product, you can also click on Christmas here. And if you're selling a fitness product, you can also pick this yoga setting here. Or maybe you want the actor to hold an item like dumbbells or somebody on a laptop or even somebody holding a pet, right? So a lot of different options you can choose from. If you want to try this out, I've got the link where you can get the best pricing for Arcats, but only if you use the link down below. All right. So huge thanks to Arcats for sponsoring this video. All right. So here's the fun part. How do we build the app? So we're living in a special time where you can now build an entire app using AI without writing code. Now, you've probably seen tools where you can create a video by just prompting, like in video here. But now you can build an entire app just using that concept, even including Stripe integration for taking payments. Now, some of the tools that I like are Lovable, Cursor, V0, Replit. Each of these tools have pros and cons, obviously. I've been playing around with some of them to build my own app. Now, generally speaking, I like Lovable because it's easy to use. I don't have to touch a single line of code, but it could get expensive as there's a cap in the messages that you send. But overall, I think Cursor AI is still the best if you're willing to get a bit technical because at the end of the day, it's the cheapest as well. Now, I'm not going to give you a full tutorial on how to build an app in this video because that will be a super long technical video because the purpose of this video is to let you guys know that this idea exists in the first place and how you can make money from this from a business standpoint. But having said that, I might do a dedicated tutorial in the future because I am building an app for myself, which I'm not ready to reveal yet. But make sure you subscribe so when that happens, you don't miss the video. But one quick tip on this, if you want to use any of these AI tools to help you build an app, you want to always use ChatGPT. So if you get stuck, you can ask it for help. It will solve all your issues without having to consult with a real developer. Now, before you start building your app, you want to understand these 2 rules if you want to build a successful app. And I think this applies to any subscription business. So number 1, you want your app to solve a recurring and painful problem. So recurring problem equals recurring usage, which means recurring revenue. So for example, if you create an app that just designs a logo, that's probably a one-off thing, right? It's not something that you need on a recurring basis because how many times do you need to design a logo? But what about handling receipts? I think every business deals with receipts. You got expense tracking that you got to do every month. Every time I make a business transaction, I would keep the receipt, but I tend to lose it most of the time, and it's just a nightmare. So it is a recurring problem. And now this app, Receipts AI, solves this very problem. So you want to ask the question, will the user be needing this again every single week or every single month? And one hot tip, you want to look for boring but painful problems. Things like taxes, study note, inventory scheduling. Because sometimes these boring problems will actually make you the most money. And number two, you want to design for stickiness, which means that once somebody subscribes, you want to make it extremely hard to leave, right? Because if you think about it, what's the point of getting a flood of new customers, but most of them leave? So the trick here is to make switching painful. And I think a great example here is a note-taking app, Notion. Because if you think about it, once people start using it to organize their notes, they start building projects, they're locked in. Their entire lives kind of depend on it, which makes it really painful to leave. Not because Notion is the only note-taking app, but just the fact that moving away is a headache. And another great example of this is accounting software like QuickBooks. When you start using it, you have your entire data inside the software. And the longer you use it, the harder it is to switch. So if you just remember these two concepts when you're building your first app, you're gonna make it that much more powerful. So let me know in the comments what you guys are thinking of building. And if you want to see more ideas that is trending in 2025, I actually just made a video about that last week, and there are 5 ideas. And some of these are actually boring, but they're making people a lot of money. So if you want to see that video, click here and I'll see you there.